What's going on, guys? Ray right here. So today I'm going to be telling you the 5 things that I hate about the FZ09. Alright, before we go any further, I just want to tell you, I love this bike. I don't particularly hate anything on this bike. They're just things that I might find to be a minor inconvenience. Somebody taller might like, somebody shorter might like something else. But for me, there's just some things that I don't particularly like on the bike, and I think you're going to get that with anything.
Oops.
Alright guys, so we're going to be counting down from 5 to 1 of the inconveniences, things that I might not particularly like. So we're going to be starting with the seat at number 5. The seat and the seat position, I don't know. It's something that I've kind of struggled with since I've owned the bike. So when I first sat on the bike, to me it's felt like a dirt bike, which if you haven't grown up on dirt, if you haven't been on dirt for hours and hours and hours, it's, I don't know. To me, dirt bikes don't feel that stable. They don't feel that steady, especially in the dirt. So when I got on this, the rear set position, the seating position, to me it felt like a dirt bike. And I've heard that from other people, especially people who have ridden dirt bikes and love them. So they were used to it. They loved the seating position of it. But to me, it didn't feel stable at first. Taking corners and stuff, I didn't trust myself. But as time went on, I really got into the groove of it. I really started to figure it out. I love taking corners on this bike now, but the seating position is still something that kind of bugs me. Now, in saying that, I went and I got the Yamaha, the upgraded seat, the comfort seat, which I thought was going to be better for me because it sits more flat. This one, you can see there's a little bit of a pitch, so that's another thing that I'm talking about. It's like, it's a weird kind of seating position because for the first maybe 30-40 minutes, it feels nice. It's a nice ride. It's a nice upright position. But the longer you ride it, it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm constantly adjusting myself, constantly adjusting the way I'm sitting. I'm either moving back or moving forward. I can't find that happy medium. But when I got the comfort seat on this thing, it was more flat. There was a little stopper in the back, you know, to really, you know, if you're really getting on it, you could really feel yourself hit that back, and it gave you a little more stable feeling. But like I said, with this one, the banana seat, there's just nothing back there to make you feel secure like you're going to actually stay in the bike. But now going back to the comfort seat. Got the comfort seat on here. Not on here anymore, obviously, but with the comfort seat on, it was a more flat seating position. I didn't feel like I was being thrown, or not thrown, but tilted more towards the front or anything like that. But the problem is, because I'm about 5'7", 5'8", my legs aren't long enough to clear the edges of the seat. So the way that the seat is, it's like with this seat here, you can see it's real narrow at the front, like a dirt bike. But with the comfort seat, it's wider and it's got more of like a, I don't know, maybe an aggressive like lip on it. So what I found was my legs are too short, so my legs started going numb because it was, you know, cutting off the nerve circulation or what have you. It was just cutting off circulation in my legs, and so I found that I would have to kind of stretch every now and then. Otherwise, it just was not going to be an enjoyable ride. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is how warm this bike gets. Since obviously it's a naked bike, there's no fairings. So right down here, especially like in this area and everything, it gets so warm right where you know, your shins and, you know, your legs and your feet are right down here. It gets so freaking warm. And then of course, if you got riding boots on, these are supposed to be like weather resistant and all that. So these kind of riding boots just, yeah, they just keep the heat in anyway. But, you know, down here, it's just like the engine and everything, it just gets so warm. So in the wintertime when it starts to get cooler, I don't mind it as much because I really hug the bike then, and I really embrace, you know, the warmth, the heat that it's given off. But in the summertime, when you're like, you know, stuck waiting at a light or something, it's just, you just feel yourself cooking. And I don't know, I don't particularly like it, but it's not something that I just go trade the bike in for. But just be aware that it's going to be a little warm. Alright, number 3 is going to be the soft rear shock. Now, I've heard this said about the FZ so many times. The FZ into the MT09. This is the bastard year, I would say, of the FZ to MT. It's got the MT style headlights, bam, the tail light, you know, the new MT styling, but it's still considered an FZ. Anyway, so these bikes, I've heard, they just have a poor rear suspension. They have the adjustable front suspension on these, which I haven't messed with because I don't know exactly how to set that up, but to me, I don't know, front suspension feels okay. Rear suspension, we tighten this to the tightest it can go. I'm about 215 pounds, so with me on it, it's going to be a little more spongy. But even with it at the tightest setting, it's, I don't know, to me it's still a little bit of a spongy ride. Going through corners, you know, if you hit a bump into a corner, you know, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna just kind of bounce on you, which, that's the thing. If you want to upgrade shocks, you're gonna have to spend like another $1,000 for like one of those Olin's, you know, nice shocks. But that's just something to be aware of. You know, if you're kind of a bit of a heavier person, you might have to just go ahead and upgrade the shock right off the bat. Another thing, I took my wife for a ride, and this is actually before we adjusted the shock, so mind you, but took the wife for a ride, and the rear plate back here actually bent in a little bit more because it was hitting the fender right there. So that's another thing. If you're planning on putting passengers on the back of this bike, you might have to just adjust it to the hardest setting, or just go ahead and get a new shock. I'm too cheap, so I'm probably not anytime in the near future, I guess. If I start doing track days and I really notice it, then I might go ahead and throw a different shock on. All right, guys, the number 2 thing that I hate about this bike is I hate how it makes me want to go fast. It's like, wow, there it is again. There it is again. When you have all this power at your fingertips and you know it's there, you try to be a good rider, you try to be a sensible rider. You know, you're going to work, you know, you're just cruising, going to work, like, oh yeah, this is nice. But then you encounter a group of like 3 or 4 cars doing 5 on the speed limit. What are you gonna do? You're gonna downshift, drop a gear, and disappear, right? Well, that's what always happens to me on this bike. But now what always makes me scared, especially when you got a family, you got a kid, I got a kid on the way, it's just, you always think about, like, if you're going at such a high rate of speed, passing all these cars, who's not to say that one of those cars isn't slowing down to turn? You know, maybe as you're going by, another car is going to pull out from somewhere else. That's what makes me so nervous about going so fast on this bike. Back in the day when I rode the 300, I was like, oh, but I get it. It's the torque. The MTs, the FZs are torque monsters, and you just get addicted to that torque feeling, just getting, you know, thrown back. You know, you know it when somebody's about to just crank on it, when they drop a gear and hunch down, you know, because otherwise you're going to get yourself thrown off the bike. This MT FZ09, you're going to get yourself thrown off, you know, if you're not holding on tight. But I just hate how it just makes me want to go fast. All right, guys, the number 1 thing that I hate about this FZ MT09 is how much I love it, how much I love the bike. I've thought about trading it in or getting rid of it for a different bike, and I don't think I can. I would go for like a bobber, because it would make me not want to do such hooligan stuff, I think. But I just think about, you know, getting rid of the bike, and I just can't bring myself to really to do it with all the stuff I've done to it, with just, I don't know, it's just such a comfortable, fun bike. I don't know, guys, it's just something that I just hate how much I love it. So if you have yourself an MT09 or an FZ09 and you can kind of relate to these things I'm talking about, drop it down in the comments, please. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. But I want to hear what other bikes you guys might have. And I want to maybe start a little thing of 5 things that you hate about your bike, or 5 things you love about your bike. I'm going to be doing a little thing about this one and the Grom over there, of 5 things that I love and hate about each of these bikes. And again, you know, they're not really things that I hate particularly, but you know, they're a little conversation starter. So until the next video, guys, get out of here and ride safe. And as always, I love you guys. Ride safe. Bye-bye.